Han Li cast aside all of his errant thoughts as he focused his gaze intently on the green pill cauldron. 3 silver droplets emerged within the vortex, then fell upon the palace before exploding violently and crashing down as bolts of lightning. Radiant golden light erupted out of the spirit patterns across the entire palace, forming a golden light barrier that kept the silver lightning at bay. The golden and silver light clashed, releasing extremely formidable energy fluctuations that caused the entire palace to tremble violently. However, no one was looking at the pill tribulation unfolding up above. Instead, all of them were staring intently at the pill cauldron, waiting for the next batch of pills to emerge. Just like before, the silver light quickly subsided, while the golden light in the palace also gradually faded. It didn't take long before both had completely faded, and yet another pill tribulation was successfully endured. The 3 dragons on the pill cauldron opened their mouths, and 3 more high zenith pills shot out of the cauldron. Immediately thereafter, 3 additional golden puppets emerged, seemingly from out of nowhere, then caught a high zenith pill each. At the same time, everyone in the palace also rushed toward the 3 pills as quickly as they could. Lights of different colors surfaced over their bodies before expanding outward to form a series of spirit domains. At this point, everyone knew that it was time to display their true power. And 8 or 9 spirit domains of different colors had emerged within the palace in the blink of an eye. All types of law powers were surging toward Han Li from all directions, instantly slowing him down significantly. Everyone else was also slowed down by the multitude of spirit domains in the area, particularly Han Li's time spirit domain, which had the most significant slowing effect. Han Li looked around momentarily, then abruptly slowed down so that he kept pace with everyone instead of darting ahead. At the same time, all of the gray statues on either side of the palace also pounced forward once again. However, they were also affected by all of the spirit domains in the area, and they were slowed down to an even greater extent than all of the cultivators present. As for the golden array on the ground, it had just been destroyed by that eruption of gray light from the living corpse's body. So the white flame restriction wasn't triggered. Even though everyone's speed was significantly diminished, the interior of the palace wasn't exactly a massive area, so everyone was still able to reach the 3 golden puppets in the blink of an eye. Radiant golden light erupted out of the 3 puppets' bodies as they each threw a punch in a different direction, unleashing thick arcs of golden lightning that sprang forth in all directions. The lightning attacks unleashed by these golden puppets were quite formidable, posing a threat even to golden immortals. But now that their attacks were scattered, they posed far less of a threat. Hence, no one bothered to dodge the attacks, as they briefly adopted some defensive measures before pouncing at the puppets to try and wrench the high zenith pills straight out of their hands. Luo Qinghai harumphed coldly as dazzling blue light erupted out of his body, and once again, his aura swelled to the high zenith stage. The blue staff appeared in his hand amid a flash of blue light, and he swung it through the air, releasing a thick blade of blue light that tore through the oncoming arcs of golden lightning with ease before striking the right arm of one of the golden puppets. A loud crack rang out as the puppet's arm was severed at the elbow, and the high zenith pill in its right hand was instantly sent flying through the air. Taoist Hu Yan, Yun Ni, and the 2 Blaze Dragon Dao Golden Immortals just so happened to be nearby, and they immediately made a grab for the high zenith pill. A cold look flashed through Luo Qinghai's eyes upon seeing this, and he swept his blue staff through the air once again, unleashing a thick staff projection that swept toward the 4 of them. All 4 of them had witnessed the fearsome power of the staff projection, and they immediately shot back in retreat, not daring to stand their ground to try and secure the high zenith pill. Luo Qinghai made no attempt to go after them, merely sweeping a sleeve through the air instead to release a burst of blue light that drew the high zenith pill into his grasp. Even though Han Li was with Taoist Hu Yan and the others, he played no part in the brief fight over this first high zenith pill. Instead, He abruptly sped up by several-fold, appearing beside the second high zenith pill in the blink of an eye, before sweeping a sleeve through the air to release an azure flying sword that hurtled directly toward the puppet. The golden puppet reacted extremely quickly, swinging around before throwing a punch at the azure flying sword. Han Li harumphed coldly as he made a hand seal, and a translucent golden thread shot out of the flying sword to strike the golden puppet. A burst of translucent golden light erupted out of the golden thread to envelop the puppet, and it was instantly stopped cold in its tracks, following which the azure flying sword swept over its body. Just like the other puppet, this one's arm was also severed, and a high zenith pill flew out of its grasp. An ecstatic look emerged in Han Li's eyes as he immediately made a grab for the pill. But right at this moment, several dark red threads of light shot forth through the air from the side, and the elderly woman from the Southern Dawn race was rushing in to stop Han Li. At the same time, the elderly man also rushed at him while releasing 2 streaks of crimson light, which transformed into a pair of crimson skulls that hurtled toward Han Li from both the left and the right. Instead of taking evasive measures, Han Li opened his mouth to release a burst of golden light, which contained several translucent golden threads, and the oncoming dark red threads were instantly stopped cold in their tracks. The 2 bursts of formidable law powers clashed violently, causing the nearby space to tremble and rumble incessantly. Han Li was rather surprised to see that these dark red threads were able to oppose his time law threads. At the same time, Jin Tong shot forth through the air from his shoulder, rapidly swelling in size mid-flight before lashing out with its 2 front legs. Several hundred streaks of translucent golden light were unleashed, forming a golden wave that swept up the 2 crimson skulls in the blink of an eye, and it didn't take long at all before they were destroyed. Meanwhile, another golden figure emerged from Han Li's body amid a flash of golden light, and it was none other than Taoist Xie, which was holding a pair of azure bamboo cloud swarm swords. The 2 swords instantly swelled to over 100 feet in length, and arcs of thick golden lightning flashed over their surface as they gave off a devastating aura. 2 giant streaks of golden sword chi shot forth, with countless golden lightning runes surging over them, and they swept directly toward the pair of Southern Dawn beings. The 2 of them were clearly caught off guard by Taoist Xie's abrupt emergence, and they didn't dare to directly withstand the 2 streaks of formidable sword chi, so they hurriedly took evasive measures. Meanwhile, Han Li swept a sleeve through the air, releasing a burst of azure light that swept up the high zenith pill before drawing it up his sleeve in the blink of an eye. The elderly woman faltered slightly upon seeing this, then took a long glance at Han Li before darting back in retreat. The dark red threads also disengaged themselves from their clash against Han Li's time law threads and flew back up her sleeve. Right at this moment, Han Li's voice suddenly rang out beside the elderly woman's ears. "I didn't expect to see you here, fellow Taoist Worm 3. Her expression stiffened ever so slightly upon seeing this, but she didn't slow down in the slightest as she continued flying back in retreat, as did the elderly man with her. Han Li made a beckoning motion to draw his time law threads and azure bamboo cloudswarm swords back to himself, and a faint smile appeared on his face as he watched the elderly woman fly away into the distance. At this point, he was all but certain that she was indeed Worm 3. Right at this moment, a resounding boom abruptly rang out nearby, followed by an eruption of black light. Han Li turned to discover that all 4 vast Flow Palace Golden Immortals in Nankeming had been sent flying through the air, while Feng Tiandu and Xianxia were standing not far away from them. There was a cold sneer on Feng Tiandu's face as he held a high zenith pill in one hand, and 2 halves of a golden puppet were laying on the ground at their feet. It had only been a few seconds since the 3 high zenith pills had emerged, and all 3 of them had already been claimed. Meanwhile, the gray statues were heavily affected by all of the spirit domains in the area, so they were still yet to even reach the pill cauldron. All of the gray puppets began to glow with radiant yellow light, which instantly connected together to form that giant go-board projection again. Individually, these puppets didn't pose much of a threat, but this go-board projection ability that they were collectively able to unleash was extremely formidable, and everyone hurriedly flew back in retreat upon seeing this. Han Li also did the same, releasing a burst of azure light out of his sleeve to sweep up Jin Tong before flying away himself, while Taoist Xie flew back into his body as a streak of golden light. However, right at this moment, two black chains suddenly shot out the space behind him before wrapping themselves around his body, instantly stopping him cold in his tracks. As a result, he was caught within the yellow go-board projection, and he instantly felt as if there were an enormous mountain weighing down upon him. He turned around with some difficulty to find Feng Tiandu watching him with a cold sneer on his face. Even as he was flying back in retreat, there were two black chains protruding out of his sleeve. Han Li gave a cold harumph as radiant golden light erupted out of his body in all directions. At the same time, a resplendent golden wheel appeared behind him. Countless incredibly dense golden ripples surged through the air, spreading outward at an incredible speed, and both Feng Qiandu and Qi Qianxiao were instantly caught within them. Immediately thereafter, both of them were stopped cold in their tracks, and it was as if they had been frozen on the spot. Some of the nearby gray statues and close to half of the yellow go-board projection were also encompassed within the golden ripples, and they were all slowed down to a crawl as well. Luo Qinghai and the others were all astonished to see this, while Ouyang Quishan exclaimed in incredulity, "Surely that's not the mantra treasured axis." As a Tao Lord of the Blaze Dragon Tao, he was naturally aware of the mantra axis scripture, but this mantra treasured axis was unlike anything that they had ever seen or heard of before. In particular, the hundreds of time Tao runes on the axis was simply mind-boggling to him.